everyone, and welcome to episode 31 of the WhotKnot podcast. My name is Kathy. I'm a disabled maker after a car accident in 2007, and this is a podcast about all the crafty things. And I've got a little bit of a mixed bag for you this week, as usual. And first off, I've got two thank yous actually. I've got Dobby scratching at me here. What's the matter, mate? Come on. He's settled in quite well. I'll give you a brief rundown. I know everybody's not here for the Dobster, but he settled in really well. He and Rusty are playing like a couple of champs, so that's good. He does have a bit of a yarn appreciation. Yes, I have spent a bit of time in the last week and a half unravelling balls of yarn that he's managed to get a hold of. Not the best, including that red mohair that I showed on the last episode. Yep. Luckily, he'd just pulled it apart, hadn't actually chewed it. He actually got one of the balls of yarn and chewed through the whole ball of yarn. I'm going to try and salvage it though. So, because it was actually the Blue Debbie Bliss that I have been showing you. So, have learnt my lesson and am keeping the yarn well and truly away from Dobby. So apart from that though, everything's been great. I've managed to teach him how to sit. He now sits. He'll shake. In the last couple of days he just learnt to shake. So I've been trying to teach him to shake hands for about a week, probably over a week. And finally, a couple of days ago, I was saying shake. And he put up his left hand. His left paw. So I think he's a lefty. That was the problem. I was trying to get him to shake with his right hand, and I think he's a lefty. So there's that. What say you go and have a sleep on the mat, mate? Seriously. So much time wasted cuddling this dog in the last 2 weeks. This is every night before he goes to sleep. This is what I have to do, give him a cuddle. Like a baby. Well, he is a baby. He'll be 12 months old very shortly. But apart from that, he's as smart can be, and he's settled in really well. So that's Dobby. But the two thank yous that I've got, first off, I got a totally out of the blue surprise package in the mail. And I wasn't expecting it. When it turned up, I thought, oh, Mill must have sent me something else, didn't know what it was, opened it up, and it was a beautiful, thoughtful gift from Keri. And Keri is Kesmez on Instagram, and I can't even tell you how amazing this package was. So much thought had gone into it, so much creativity. The things that she's put in, it would have taken her a long time to make. I appreciate them so much, Keri. It came on a good day when I needed to pick me up. I won't read the card out, but even the card that came with it, so beautiful. Look at that. All embroidered by Keri. So cute. I've actually got that in my episode journal. I can't believe how lovely it is, with a very sweet note in it. Honestly, Keri, you did not have to, but so amazing. And there was quite a few things in this package, some of them which are already gone. There was a little bag of lollies. Gone. There was a lovely candle. So I like the Mrs. Myers bits and pieces. So a beautiful candle there. And this candle is lavender scented, and it is a soy candle, and it's supposed to burn. Oh, it smells amazing. Can't wait to burn it. It burns for 35 hours. So that's something to look forward to. So I got that. Listen, champ, you're going to have to hop down. I know you don't want to. This is what he does. He throws himself back onto me like, no. Then there was this lovely little thing to hang up in my craft room, and I've already got a spot on the wall. I said to my husband, I want that hung up. Do small things with great love, and I think that that's something to live by. You know, you don't have to make a grand gesture to change somebody's day or have an impact on them. She's hand stitched this. It's beautifully finished. She's got a lovely little bit of ribbon all around the back of it, some pretty fabric on the back. It's already got the little hang thing for me to hang it up. So that's not the best bit. Then there was this. Look at that. I mean, I absolutely love the colours, Keri. So beautiful. Apparently, Keri stitched on this while she's been watching my podcasts. I just couldn't believe that. I mean, it's just lovely. All beautifully stitched, lovely colours. You've done a lovely job finishing it. It's got some pretty fabric on the back. So thanks so much, Keri. That will be hung up in my craft room as well. And as if that wasn't enough, guys, there was some other bits and pieces. There was a face mask, which I might have used already. And these were really nice. These are some little wooden discs. I'm going to ask Keri if she made them or where she got them from. Because they're cedar discs. You know, obviously you put them in with your yarn so that the moths don't get into it. But they smell so good. I really want to get some more of those. They'd be nice gifts. I could actually see them hung up on the Christmas tree as Christmas decorations. I could, maybe I'll do that. We'll see. So there's those. And then she also gave me this lovely ball of yarn, which has got a stitch marker on it. Oh, it's not a ball of yarn, a skein of yarn. Look at the colours in that. I don't know if you can see. There's got the pinks as well. From Tiny Toadstool Cottage. Such beautiful colours. So I'll be putting that in my stash until I come up with something wonderful to make with it. So thanks, Keri. Also very nice. Yeah, so Keri thoroughly spoilt me, and seriously, you did not have to do that. It's so nice, but you don't have to send me things. That's I'm happy if you enjoy the podcast. So yeah, so thank you, Keri. Thank you so much. And the other thank you that I've got is to everybody that purchased my shawl pattern. Yeah, it's actually been a little overwhelming. It's amazing. I cannot wait to see the colours that you guys choose, how you go with the pattern. I love to know what you think about how Mills put the pattern together. I think she's done a phenomenal job, but maybe I'm a little bit biased. Yeah, it's been great. The whole process has been a lot more work than I actually anticipated, which is partially my own fault because I have made a complex pattern. It's definitely not out of the reaches of even beginner knitters, but it is a complex pattern. But yeah, it's been a bit of a journey, a bit of a process, and a bit of an eye-opener. But it's been a team effort. It's not just me. Julia, Nicole, and, you know, my husband, even support network, and of course Mill. Like, Mill has really pulled this all together. I ended up sending my shawls down to Mill in Victoria to do the photos. She took some lovely photos with beautiful Beck, her partner, and like Mill has actually pulled this together for me, making me once again look a lot more professional than I actually am. So thanks, Mill. Really cannot even tell you how much I appreciate it, and I'm hoping that everybody is going to enjoy knitting that pattern. Now, I have had a few people ask me if there's going to be a knit along. So what I thought I would do is get you to leave, if you've purchased the pattern, leave in the comments down below whether you'd like to participate in a knit along, and I'll see what sort of response we get. If there is enough interest, I'll let you guys know on the next podcast. But if we do get enough interest, I will run a prize here on YouTube, and I'll run a prize on Instagram as well for anybody that wants to participate, because not everybody does YouTube and not everybody does Instagram, so that we're covering everybody. Now, I did offer a 15% discount for Mother's Day, and I decided just to extend that through for anybody that does watch the podcast that isn't on Instagram. The 15% is still applicable. It will automatically go on at the checkout. I just heard something crash in the background there, and Dobby's just come running in. Feeling nervous. What are you up to, mister? Everybody else is snoozing. He's been running around like crazy all morning. Go and sit down for 5. Take a load off, mate. So, yeah, so the 15% discount is still on, and I'm going to leave it on probably till mid next week, just to make sure that anybody that is like watching the podcast and supporting me is getting that 15% discount. So yeah, if you haven't already checked it out, go and check it out and let me know about the knit along. So that's that. So thanks once again, everybody. Oh, you're a pushy devil. You're a pushy devil. I don't know. I'm actually trying to do something here, mate. This is what happens. I'll be working on my painting or my knitting, and he's like real pushy for a cuddle. And it's hard not to cuddle him. All right. Okay, so I've got a few finished objects, and first up, listen, pal, you're going to have to hop on the mat. It's not like you haven't got a nice mat to sit on. All right, so first thing that I've got is, I showed you last week that I was going to be finishing off this project that I had already started, and I have finished it. So I bought that off Etsy from a place called Wonderland Ukraine, and I'll link it in the notes. I will tell you that if you order anything from Russia, brace yourself for a 3-month wait. I know somebody that watches me and myself, we all both purchased another one of the little bird embroidered brooches that I made quite a few episodes ago, and I don't know about you, but I'm still waiting for mine, but I knew it would take a while to get here. That's okay. But this took ages to get here, but it's finished now. And as you can see, it's a little pincushion. This section is all embroidered with beads. So it comes in pieces and you basically put it together. So I've put together that little pincushion puff there and stuck that in the timber cutout that came with it. This little timber cutout had a whole heap of little holes in it, and you basically, following a pattern, you embroider all the beads onto it. It did take a while. It was quite fiddly, but I think the end result is quite nice. I have not seen anything like this in Australia. I'll just give you a close-up of those beads. They're really pretty colours, and there's actually a lot of detail on that timber as well. And when you've finished, because the back of it has got like a lot of, the threads where you've been doing the bead embroidery, it comes with this piece of felt which fits perfectly over it, so you can glue that into place, so it's all very nicely finished off. So yeah, enjoyed making that, something a little bit different, I think. And yeah, all finished. So there was that one. And then I finished, last week I showed you a kit that I'd got for paint pouring, and I had been watching a few videos on it. So I learnt quite a lot about the paint pouring. I opened the kit and decided I'd like some more colours. So I have got some acrylic paints, but I found out that what you need to do is make a 50-50 mix, and you're supposed to do it the night before you use it, I didn't, because I didn't realise till as soon as I opened it, so I just did it that day. But you mix 50% paint and 50% with craft glue or Elmer's glue or similar, something like that. And then you add water and you mix that until it's like a thick cream consistency so that you can pour it nice and easily. And it did take quite a while to dry. So what was involved, this is the one that came in the kit, which I've made up. And it's got some really pretty colours. The colours come out almost like a marbling effect on the bottom there. And as I said, I'll link the lady's YouTube down below, but she makes some beautiful things. And I basically followed the technique that she shows on her YouTube. So she paints the canvas white. She drizzles the colours on the bottom half of the canvas. Then she runs a thick bead of the white paint, and then using a scraper, she pulls the white paint down. It sounds easy in theory. It's not that easy to do in real life. And hers look amazing. I think that I'd need a bit more practice. I got my husband to get me some of those little balloons that you use for water bombs, and I stamped that on to bring the colours through. I sprinkled some of the glitter that came in the kit on. You can just sort of see it here, those little lumps and bumps. And then before it dried, I stuck the pearls on. And after it dried, I felt like the flowers weren't really popping, like they didn't really look like flowers. So I got my black liner pen that I use for watercolours and just created some whimsical little flowers and leaves and things to give the picture a bit of definition. So that was the one that came in the kit. I will say, when I opened the box and I saw the canvas, I was like, it's very small. I was expecting it to be bigger for some reason, but yeah. And then I thought I'd like to do another one. And I had this canvas. This is actually a thin canvas, and it's designed for watercolour, but I did the drizzle paint on this one. And this is a bit of a mixed media style of painting. It's got some really pretty colours in that corner there that really look nice to me. So I did the same thing, painted it white, drizzled the paint and dragged down and all the rest of it, and let it dry. And again, because I'm not experienced doing it, I felt like it looked a bit lackluster. So later on in the week, I got my acrylic paints out and I painted over the top of the flowers here to make them pop a bit more so that they actually look like flowers. And then I started to go a bit crazy because I dragged out these paper leaves. You can just see them in there. Some paper leaves that I had for my journaling. See one right there? And then there's another one just there. And then I found some flower stickers that I thought looked similar. So I stuck their stickers. Some stickers there. Some stickers on, where are we? Back to front here. There, that's a sticker. And some butterfly stickers. So there's a butterfly sticker there. And another one just there. And then I drizzled some paint on to create these leaves and stuck the pearls on, and it's got glitter and all sorts of things. But I think it turned out okay in the end. I don't know whether I would hang it up in my house, but it was fun to do. Sometimes you've just got to go with it. And yeah, so I was happy with how they turned out, and that was a really fun exercise. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that was that finished project. And then, as I said to you, my lovely test knitters who helped me so much, I decided to make them a project bag each as a thank you. So Julia's has already got hers, and I just finished Nicole's this week, so I thought I would show it to you. So this is coming to you, Nicole. in beautiful lavenders and olive greens. And there's a little girl walking along with her chooks and a basket of flowers. You can see here I tried out the embroidery on my sewing machine, and I can tell you right now I need a bit more practice on that, because under this lace bit here I did try to embroider some flowers which went a bit pear-shaped. So I think I've saved it, and I put some lace and some just embroidery, like broderie on glaze type thing over the top of it there. So that was the front to the bag, and that's the back of the bag with a butterfly there. Tried to do a bit more embroidery there. Some of those flowers down the bottom went a bit pear-shaped. I think the problem was, because this is quilted, the machine was embroidering, but the foot was hitting against this edge of the fabric, so distorted the flowers a little bit, but it's all good. I think I got away with it. And the little thing on the back here says, if nothing ever changed, there'd be no butterflies. So I like those little things. And on the inside, I went for some yellow fabric, little flower fabric, a little pocket made out of the leftover fabrics, and a little kitty cat notions pouch. So yeah, that was a finished object, and I'll be putting that in the mail to Nicole, or I'll give it to her when I serve for the next coffee thing, which I think maybe we're due for another coffee thing in about 2 weeks, so maybe I'll give it to her then. But that'll be off to Nicole. And then I've got my painting. So I had quite a few custom orders this week, and most of them have been sent except for this one, because I asked Christine if I could hang on to it to show it on the podcast, and she said yes, that would be fine. This is for Christine's husband, so let's hope he doesn't catch the podcast. But they had 2 dogs that passed away, and she asked me if I would paint them. Her husband was missing them a lot apparently, so this is one of her dogs. I don't know what their names are, but I was very happy with, in particular, how this dog's eyes turned out. So I'll give you a close-up of the eyes there. But yeah, and I'll put the corresponding picture that Christine sent me to copy from next to it, so you can see if I managed to get a good likeness there. So that was one of the dogs. And this was the other dog. So I actually feel like the fur definition and everything turned out a little bit better in this dog than the other dog, but I've sent them to Christine and she's very happy with both of them, and I will be packing them off to Christine so that she's got them to give to her hubby in August. I think he's due to get those as a present. So those 2. And the second last painting. Oh, well, I've got this one. I did this little one yesterday. When I craft all week and then I clear my desk off ready for the podcast. And when my desk's all clean and tidy like that, it makes me want to do something to mess it all up again, I guess. But I thought, I'm going to do a little painting. So I just whipped this up yesterday. So I just thought I'd show it to you. I have got a reel on Instagram of me painting this, if you want to check that out. It was just a quick and easy painting. It took about 10 minutes, so no big effort involved there, but I think turned out quite effective in the end. So I've only used this a couple of times, this tiny little pad, but it's nice just to have that to whip something up. And I bought this a few weeks ago and I'm really enjoying it. So I wanted to have a little chat with you guys about this. I think this is a good exercise for people, even if you can't draw very well. It's a personal thing, so it doesn't have to be great. And if you couldn't draw that well but you wanted to do this, you could actually use stickers or cut things out of magazines and things like that. But what it is, it's basically a journal, and I'll show you a page that's got nothing on it that I haven't done. So this is what the pages look like, blank basically, but they've usually got a little bit of something down the bottom or on the page somewhere, which is a prompt. So today it says, what did you have for breakfast today? Draw it. So, you know, you draw what you had for breakfast, and you might draw other breakfast foods that you like or drinks that you like to have with breakfast. It's designed to activate your conscious creativity, if you will. So I'll show you some of the ones that I've painted, and this one was basically asking me to paint the weather, what it was like, what sort of weather I like, what particular types of weather make me think about, and that sort of thing. So it's just random sketches and drawings of whatever pops into your mind. Some of them I sketch in pencil first and then go over. Some of them I just go straight in with the pen, and then I just think of little things, you know, to add to it. Like this one says, the sun is up, the sky is blue, today is beautiful, and so are you. Just like the weather, people change. And yeah, you just sort of sit there and have a bit of a think about it. So I did that one. This one said, draw a piece of fruit, take a bite of the fruit and draw it again. So that's that page there. And I drew the star fruit there. That's a star fruit because we actually have a star fruit tree in our garden that is prolific in its fruiting, and it's just about to fruit now, and I'm hoping to pick some of that fruit and chuff it off to my sister, and I'm hoping that she'll make me something wonderful. I need to cut my fringe. I haven't been to the hairdressers for about 2 years. I cut my own hair. Sometimes when I've cut my own hair, I go to the hairdressers and they say to me, where have you been going to get your hair cut? Like, it's really bad. But I don't care. I just don't even care. So I might have to trim that fringe a bit, I think. Yeah, so the next page I wanted to have a little chat with you about, because this was what it said to on the top. Draw a sentimental object in your home, like a piece of jewellery, a vacation souvenir, or a special book. Choose something you would never want to lose. Try drawing it from a few angles. And I had trouble with this because even though I buy a lot of stuff and for my craft room or yarn or whatever, I don't put a lot of value in, say, old like things. So when I was thinking about it, I really had to think hard. Like, it really tested what I was thinking about. And I thought, all right, if the house was on fire, what would I grab? And I'd really just grab the dogs. And the only other thing that I could really think about was I've got a doll that I've had since I was 3. Because that's irreplaceable, I would probably grab that. But it made me start thinking, all right, well, if you're not sentimental about these things, what would you miss if you didn't have it? And it made me really think about what I lost after the accident, more physically than anything else, like my ability. So I decided that things like that are things that were important to me, like my ability. One of the essential things to me these days is my wheelchair. So if I was vacating the house in an emergency, I would be vacating in my wheelchair. So that is an essential item. I put a lot of value in being creative, having ideas, trying to think positive, being kind to people. I think less in materialistic things, I've decided, and more in those emotional and physical things are what's important to me. So this is what I ended up painting on this page. I've got a banner, at the top that says ability, because I don't want to lose any more of the abilities that I've lost a lot. I don't want to lose any more. Creativity is important. My wheelchair. I love little birds, so I put a little bird in there. And the only other thing that I put there is that mug. And my husband and I went to America a few years ago, and we went to Disneyland, and I bought a big Winnie the Pooh mug, and I have my coffee in that every morning. I always say that I only have one coffee a day, which is true, but that cup is so big that it's probably equivalent to two. So I really like that mug, so I drew that as well. And I've just written a couple of things on there, like art speaks where words are unable to explain, positive thought, independence, be nice to people, a picture is a poem without words. So I think it's a really good exercise, this book, in making you sort of think about things a bit more thoroughly than what you would have. Just spend a few minutes each day to think about. And like, I'd probably spend an hour on that, but you could literally do it in 15 minutes, you know, give or take, if you didn't have as much time to spend on these things as I do. So yeah, I think that's a good book. I'll link in the down box where I got that from. I got it from Booktopia, but I will link it down the bottom if you're interested in having a go at that. You know what? I think it would actually be good for children as well, and especially kids that have maybe had a little bit of trauma or have got some problems that they want to put down in picture form. I think it would be good for them too. So that's all my finished objects. And I just remembered I forgot to tell you what I'm wearing. I am wearing my ranunculus. I knit this last year with a knit along with Lindsay from Stitch Create Love, and I love it. It's actually made out of a merino linen, and I'm pleased to report it doesn't stretch out of shape. I've actually been wearing this throughout the last 2 days. So it is pilling ever so slightly, but I get the impression that it's one of those garments that pills like a bit at first and then it doesn't pill anymore after that. You've just got to get that initial layer off. I would knit this again. If I knit this again though, I think I would go down one size because there's a lot of extra room. I actually made these sleeves a bit smaller than the sizing. I'm pretty sure I knit the large. Can't remember. So maybe I would knit the medium next time. But I've been enjoying wearing that over the last few days, and I recommend that knit. Although I think most people have already knit it, haven't they? Like, everybody's knit this, and with good reason. I mean, it's got beautiful texture pattern along the neckline here, and yeah, a bit of colour work. Yeah, I really like it. Would knit another one. All right, so let me just check my notes here. My whips. Right, for my whips, I am still working on Mills Deschain. I haven't done anything else on it because I ran out of the yarn, but I'm pleased to report that that turned up in the mail yesterday, and I've actually got it sitting here on my desk ready to ball it up, and that's what I'll be doing after I finish filming, is balling that up so I can continue on with it. And then on the last episode, I told you that I was going to start knitting the gamma with the Debbie Bliss yarn that I had with dongles in it. Someone said that it was hilarious that I was calling them dongles. I do know that they are called donagles, but, and I blame my mum for this because she makes up words as well. I make up words and then live by them. Like, that's it. That I just say them all the time, and that's dongles is one of them. So yeah, and I will tell you that I've been in some embarrassing situations because my mum says these words that she makes up with such conviction that as a kid I didn't realise there was another way of saying them. For example, I'll tell you a little story. She calls hors d'oeuvres hoovery dooveries. I never realised they were called hors d'oeuvres. So for years, I never realised that there was any other way of saying it. My husband and I went to a wedding venue to book our wedding, and I'm talking to the guy there, and he's talking about the menu and everything, and I said to him, what sort of hoovery dooveries do you serve? And he's looking at me, and I'm trying to be all fancy, and he said, do you mean hors d'oeuvres? And I was like, no, I mean hoovery dooveries. Yeah, thanks, Mum. So, yeah, do tend to make up words, and that's just how it is. So, back to what I was saying. Whips. So, I was going to knit the gamma, and I cast it on, and I started knitting it, and I got the band, and I started, because it's a bottom up, and I started knitting it, and that Debbie Bliss dongle yarn is really sticky and a little on the rustic side, and it runs thick and thin, which I actually quite like about the yarn, but it means that the stitch pattern wasn't really showing up that well. I think the pattern actually needs a more consistent thickness and maybe a slightly bouncier yarn. So might have gone on and ordered exactly the yarn that's recommended in the pattern. So I'll show that to you when it comes. But having said that, I ended up ripping that back. Dobby got into that ball of wool. Took me hours to resort it out. So I now that one ball is now 3 balls of yarn after he finished playing with it. And I thought, oh, what am I going to do now? So I showed you a few episodes ago. What have I done with the ball band? The Finalgain Ruma. And that was the peachy yarn. It's a really rustic, well, not really rustic, but in my mind, consider I'm used to the softer yarn, it feels quite rustic to me. And I found a pattern called the Pan Pattern by Marte Nilessen. And I thought, yeah, I think oh, there's the band. I was pretty much looking straight at it. That's the yarn. And I had the peach and the brownish colour. So I cast the pan on. And it's pretty much all I've knit on for the last 2 weeks, even though I am supposed to be working on the special Advent knit. It's going to happen, just isn't. It's happening up here. And I've got quite a bit of that done. So, yeah, this is the pan. And I changed it slightly because it's supposed to have another row of leaves there, but I felt like it was a bit too much up the top. So I might just pan back a bit. Yeah, that's better. So I took the leaves off this section and I added an extra row of just the straight line to balance it out. But I've gone pretty well on that. I've only got about 1 inch to knit on the bottom before I go into the band. Problem is I've got about half a ball of this left. There's nothing left in the centre of that. And 1 more ball. So I'm saving 1 ball for the sleeves. So I'm tipping they're going to be this length. And I'm going to use this to hopefully finish off the body. So as I said, I need to get another inch in the stockinette stitch, and then whatever's left I'm going to knit up in the band. But I would not buy this yarn again. I know it's quite popular in the European circles, but it's a little bit rustic for my liking, and I don't really like the stitch definition that it's giving me. I don't know if you can see that. It looks really choppy. So I'm hoping that blocking is going to do its thing and make this magical, because I don't really like how it looks at this point. I am planning on washing it in wool wash, and then I'm going to rinse it through with some hair conditioner. Somebody told me that that really softens up these more natural fibres. I like the colour. I'm wondering if whether it's going to make it look like I've got no clothes on. You know when you're wearing a top that's fleshy coloured, as this is close to my flesh? Will I look like I've got no clothes on? Anyway, I'll definitely wear it, but I think it's going to be warm for sure. And I'm having said all that about the yarn, I am enjoying knitting it up. I am having to put hand cream on a little bit more often though. It seems to dry out my cuticles, this kind of yarn. But yeah, I think it looks really pretty. I'll show you my floats. I'm expecting it to, because it's such a sticky yarn, I actually had trouble doing that, because when I'm doing colour work, what I do is I hold both of the yarns on one hand, but I put one colour on this finger and one colour, and then I just flick alternately as required. And because this yarn was so sticky that when I was trying to flick it, it would stick together. I would actually have to pick up each separate one and knit it separately. I know a lot of people do that continental style with the two colour work, but I just don't have enough function in my... I'd love to do that. I'd love to try even the continental knitting, but I don't have enough function in my left hand to do it, so it's not an option for me. But yeah, so I'm going to keep knitting on that, and probably, well, I mean, I'll at least have the body finished, but I am going, once I finish this body, I'm going to stop knitting on this and do Mill's sleeves, because I really want to get that Deschain down to her so she can wear it now that it's getting a bit cooler down there in Victoria. So, yeah, they're my whips, that's it. They're my only whips. As I said, apart from the Advent, which girlfriend needs to pull her finger out on that one. Okay. Now, just checking my notes here. I'll see if I can pick this up. I showed it on Instagram. I love this little girl. I don't know why. She reminds me of somebody. Don't know if I should say. It might be a bit... it might come across as a bit mean, so I'm not going to say it. Look at that little girl. So I've got all my bits and pieces in there from the episode. Those stitch markers I also got from Keri. They were in the package. Those stitch markers dangling there. And yeah, lots of bits and pieces in there. Getting really, really big. I'll see if I can make it through to the end of that book. I'll read you some of the things that I've stuck in there. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Sometimes if it's imperfect, it makes it even more wonderful. Maker's gonna make, and you are so special. And over here, I actually got this in a packet from what was that in? I think that was in the necklace that I've made. Did I show you my necklace in my finished objects? I didn't. I'll show you that next. Take time to do what makes your soul happy. All right, so that's good. That's prompted me to think of this. So this was my other finished object. I showed you this last week. This is what my goal was. This was what I was aiming for in my kit. So it's a necklace or pendant made out of polymer clay and beads. And I can tell you right now, this was a little bit more fiddly than I was anticipating, but I got it done. The instructions were really informative, step by step with pictures and everything, because I had to make this little, up the top, where are we here? This little beaded, almost like a thimble to go over the polymer clay thing. Now, having said that the instructions were detailed, it also does assume a certain amount of bead making knowledge, which I did not have, but you know, obviously you can YouTube these things these days. A few stitches that I'd never heard of. So, you know, I've said to you guys before, I like to do different things because I want to keep my brain active. I like learning new things, new techniques. I might never do it again, but it's in that moment, it's making my brain work and work hard, and that's what I want. So my brain did have to work a little bit hard in this one, but I think the end result came out okay. This is what I ended up with. I did add some of my own beads and things to it, but I think it doesn't look 100% like her picture, but you know, that's the beauty about handmade items, isn't it? They turn out, you know, how they turn out. It's just as simple as that. But you can see on the back there, at the top there, that's the little mesh thimble thing. All of those little beads had to be sewn separately to create that little mesh envelope, which basically covered the top of the polymer clay, and then you sew all the beads on it. When I started sewing the beads on, I was looking at it thinking, yeah, that looks a bit ordinary. But the secret is, the more you sew onto it, the better it looks. Because the more I put onto it, and the more full and sort of colourful that it looked with all the different beads, the better I think it looked. But yeah. So that was another finished object that I forgot to show you. And I got that from Etsy. That was the kit, and I got it from a place called On a String on Etsy, which I'll link below. And her name was Paula, and she's from Melbourne, Victoria. So, yeah, that was a bit of fun. Forgot to show you that one. Okay, so next up is Ravelry Revealed. And if you're worried that I'm getting a bit low on my things to show you in this section, I'm not. There is still a few jump quantity up in the cupboard there that I can be showing you. So I've pulled this one out, and now of course I want to knit this, but I'm not going to, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And this is the yarn that I've pulled out of my stash. Willow and Lark Poetry. This is an 8-ply. This is in a beautiful, beautiful, well, the colour is called Rhubarb Pink. And I would say even a nice coralish colour it is. It looks a little bit lighter on the camera than it is in real life. It's a little bit deeper, I think, closer to what you can see there, sort of more deeper coral, rich coral colour. And I bought this to knit myself the Whitmore, which I think a lot of people have knit the Whitmore now. It's a beautiful jumper. I have actually purchased the pattern for that one. And it's got that lovely lace collar, which I like. I'll tell you right now, I like a garment that has a lot of activity going on around my neck area, shoulder. Because I'm sitting in the wheelchair, I don't want anything with too much decoration on the bottom half because nobody sees it. I like party up the top, business down the bottom. That's what I like. So the Whitmore fits into that style that I'm after, and I will still knit the Whitmore out of this at some point. But I'll put a picture of the Whitmore up here, and the lady that designed the Whitmore is Amy Loudon. And there is some beautiful examples of the Whitmore on Ravelry. So if you want to go and check them out, go and have a look. But yeah, so that'll be happening at some, probably, I'd like to say this year, but probably not this year. When that yarn comes up for the Gamma, that's the next thing on my list after something else. I'll talk to you about that now, actually. When I caught up with the knitting ladies the last time, somebody came up with the idea of doing a knit along, just in our group. And everybody sort of settled on the love note. I mean, it's classic. It's almost going to be a classic, that jumper, isn't it? I've already knit the love note once. I knit it out of 4-ply with mohair in a lavender colour. The next time I knit it, I'm going to try an 8-ply. I saw Jodie of the Grocery Girls. She knit herself a love note in the 8-ply and it looked really nice. And I've got a really nice blue there that I'd like to use for it. So we all want to finish up the projects that we're currently working on, and then we will knit the love note. So let me know if you guys are interested, because we could maybe do a knit along with everybody. Everybody can join in. If you've cast on the love note, you're planning on casting the love note on, or whatever, like, let me know. So I probably won't get onto the Whitmore anytime soon, but I will. I think what I'm going to do next year is only knit garments that I've talked about on the podcast this year that I haven't done. That's my plan anyway. So that's my Ravelry revealed. And now, before I talk to you about my Etsy seller for this week, I wanted to mention a couple of podcasts. So there's 2 podcasts that I've focused on this week, and I've watched quite a few of the episodes that each lady has put out. And I want to get their names right, so let me make sure. The first one is Kristel, and she is Books, Hooks and Yarn. And Kristel's got a nice little podcast. She does some lovely projects. She does crochet as well as knitting. From what I can gather, she's a librarian. So that brings the book side of things into it. She seems to do a lot of gift knitting. She doesn't seem to knit for herself too often. She seems to knit for her kids, her nieces. She's just about to cast on an Ursha for a friend of hers. So she's a very generous knitter. She's recently sprained her ankle, so she's been held up in the house knitting. Not a bad thing. But the one thing that I do notice about Kristel that she's got to offer is she's very articulate. Unlike me, when I'm watching the podcast back, I know I say, instead of saying because, I say cause or gonna or things like that, which my dad would always pull us up on as kids, but I still do it. She doesn't. She speaks very articulately. So if you want to level up in the lingo, go and check out Kristel's podcast. So well worth checking out, and I've watched quite a few of her episodes now. She's got a very lovely manner about her. And the next podcaster that I've been watching is Jane. And she is Mindful Making, her YouTube channel is. And she's probably the polar opposite of me in terms of her channel. Her channel is very quiet. She likes the natural colours. She speaks very quietly. She's got a lovely aesthetic. She's very calming to watch. She's a designer, so she gives a lot more information on the technical construction of garments. She recently knit her son a jumper that was too long, so she was telling us how she rips it back and reconstructs it. There was a problem with the sleeves. She gives you tips on things like that. So it's interesting from that point of view. But she's got a very classy YouTube channel, and she's got some very nice footage of the garden, and she obviously lives on a nice property with some beautiful plants and things like that she includes in her podcast. So go and check Jane out as well. And as I said, Jane is a designer, and recently I helped her out with something with one of her designs in a very, very small way. I mean, I'm not going to tell you about it because that's her project to discuss, but we have worked together recently and it was a very enjoyable experience. And yeah, so you might find out a bit more about that later on if you watch her podcast. So yeah, there's that. And now we're up to the Etsy seller. And I bought this a little while ago, so I've had it sitting there, and I'm looking forward to giving it a go. So the Etsy shop is called Shell Rock Art, and it's Jean, and she lives on the Gold Coast in Queensland, and she's only got 8 sales in her shop. So that's the card that came with the purchase that I made. And you can see from that she does a lot of shell art. On her Etsy store, she also does a bit of sketching. So she's got some pictures that she's made, pre-made shell art, pre-made sketches of animals and things that you can buy from her. So this is the little kit. I've just taken the lid off so that I don't make a big racket. This is what I got. And after having a little look at it, I think what I need to do is I need to buy a picture frame or a canvas or something similar that I can use. I think I've actually got a couple of little picture frames there, so I might drag those out of my stash. But it says, make your own artistic picture using my hand-painted shells. So she gives you this piece of paper, which has got some basic guidelines of glue and where she's got the shells from and how they've been cleaned and all sorts of things like that. So let's have a look at these shells. And it says on the top that it comes with a free sample. So the free sample was this little bag of shells, and they're in a lovely teal colour. She's painted on those with a teal colour. And the rest, it came with a little thank you card that she's printed out with her name, Jean. And in this, it just looks really beautiful. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I don't want to tip them all over the place. So I went for you can choose the colour. So I went for a blue because that kind of matches my house. But she has hand painted all of these shells, which I will now use to make some little picture frames and things. But you could actually make a wind chime or anything out of these. Some of them are beautiful. They don't smell like the sea. I thought they might smell like the sea. Look at that one with all the little leaves painted on it. Really pretty. And there's a fair few in here to use. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that a go. I'll work on that this week, this fortnight, so that I can show you what the end result is next week. Look at that one. Each one seems to have a different pattern on it. Like there's a creative mind, hey. Lots of them, lots of really beautiful little bits and pieces. There we go. So, yeah. Let me see what I can come up with regard to those. And as I said, I will show you guys on the next podcast what I come up with. But, yeah, thanks, Jean. That looks really interesting, and you look like a very creative person, and that looks like it's going to be fun. Okay, now the last little bit is the For Me From Me. So if you don't want to watch that, that's fine. Thanks for joining me. If you've bought my pattern, don't forget to leave in the box down below if you want to join in for a knit along so that I can get that all organised. But life is quiet. Chugging along here, no excitement, as you guys know, just how I like it. I like sitting here in my craft room and pottering about. I haven't got much up and coming. My husband has got next week off, so that's going to be so good. I love it when he's home. We seem to get a lot done. We go and do a lot of things. We might go out and have some brunch. So just have a nice time together. So as I said to you in the last podcast, he has not been very well. He seems to be on the mend. He has been working away, but he'll be home now. So he's going to get off to our doctor and have a few checkups. So hopefully that's nothing to worry about. But thank you to everybody that reached out after the last podcast to say they hoped he was doing well. He's pretty well. He needs some time at home just to recharge his battery. So I think that'll be very nice. So that's what we've got coming up. So off you go. Go and get crafty, and I will see you in 2 weeks. But for the rest of us, I haven't got much to show you, but let's see what I've been buying. All right, what have I been buying? I've bought a couple of patterns. So the couple of patterns that I've purchased, I bought the Welsh Mountain Sheep, which is a PDF that I bought off Etsy. It came up as a suggestion, and I thought, yeah, I quite like that. That'd make nice gifts. Just something small to knit when you just feel like fiddling around with something. The sun's going in. Not that we've had much sun. I actually started to film earlier this morning and we had this massive storm come through. I feel like I say that to you guys every podcast, that we live in Queensland. It's supposed to be beautiful weather, and nearly every Wednesday when I go to podcast, it's raining, it's a storm. Well, we've had a storm again this morning. So the sun tried to come out for a while then, and now it's gone back in. So just doing the best I can here, guys, with what I've got. I did try and set up some artificial lighting. My husband bought me an LED thing. No, I didn't like it at all. I really did not like it. I thought I'm just going to persevere with the natural lighting because it's keeping it real. I feel like the LED lighting looks really artificial. So anyway, I can bring the brightness up on my monitor a little bit. Yeah, that might be a bit better. All right, so the patterns that I've purchased, as I said, is the Welsh Mountain Sheep. So that's a picture of him here, and I'll be looking forward to that. The second pattern that I have purchased is called Cinnamon, the Dutch Rabbit, and that's another pattern by Dot Pebble Knits. And I still haven't even started my bagel. So I need to get on to that as well, but I'm not going to put pressure on myself. I have got a few things that I want to get finished. I need to start my advent, all jokes aside, and that's what I'm going to focus on. It's like we've been through the whole podcast with no barking again, and on the home stretch every time. So they're the patterns that I've purchased, and the only other thing that I purchased, because I told you I picked that yarn up for Mill's jumper, and yarn does not like to travel alone, even though I bought 2 skeins of that. I bought 2 skeins of this because it was on special, and I just really liked the colour. Look at that colour, like a chartreuse. It's actually lace weight, and I know when I bought it, I had something in mind. And now that it's arrived, I need to get a little book, and when I buy things, write down what I was thinking of, because now I can't remember what I was thinking I would use this for. I mean, maybe I was thinking I would hold it with something else. There is Rowan, fine lace. But there's a guy on Instagram that's recently started following me, and he makes some beautiful shawls, and he uses a lot of the lace weight to make these shawls. And I don't know if I could do it, but maybe I would like to try a lace weight shawl with some beading with this, because as I say, I bought 2 balls, and this is 80% alpaca, so it's super soft, and 20% wool. And let me just tell you what sort of meterage we've got on this. It has got 400 meters. So there's 800 meters I've got of this. So plenty to do a shawl. So yeah. Oh, I think the colour looks so pretty. like an apple, green apple. Yeah. So that's it, guys. I made it. Sometimes it feels like an epic journey to get this done. Rusty started harassing me. It's only 3 o'clock. He's still got an hour and a half to go. But I haven't had any lunch yet, so I'm going to go and have some lunch / dinner. I don't really eat dinner. I like to eat something around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then that's it. But I'm not saying that's always it. Sometimes I do have a snack. But I'll go and find something to eat. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you're all safe. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all busy crafting. And thank you for all the comments on the last video. I really enjoyed reading them. We had a few new subscribers, so we're slowly going up there. That's the main thing. And it seems like everybody that's joined in is really enjoying the podcast. So I'm glad that you like a bit of a variety of stuff. Because I do. All right. I love you guys. See you next time. Bye.